All right, welcome back. Today we will be walking / hiking the Skyline Trail at Beaver Bend State Park in Broken Bow, Oklahoma. And it's a little bit of a road walk here to start. We parked just back there. So here we go. So learning number one is we parked in the first parking lot, but it does look like if you drive just a little bit further down, there is another parking lot, so you can avoid the road walk where there are no sidewalks. All right, well, learnings continue. So about 7/10 of a mile in, there is more parking down here. So if you want to be a bit closer, you can park down here and leave out some of the road walk. All right, so we've made it to the entrance to the Skyline Trail, marked as Cedar Bluff Trail here. There is, if you didn't want to walk, some parking there. Have to let you know because we still think there might be some road walking when you come out of the trail. So here we go. All right, so the initial route up the hill, pretty good elevation, but that's the start of the trail. All right, so the hair had to go up. We're about 2 miles in. It is the very end of September. Only 80 degrees, but getting pretty hot at this point. So there you go. Here we are at a nice peaceful overlook. Has a couple of benches, overlooks the river. Pretty quiet. All right, well, the last quarter mile or so of this trail, I would rank on the higher level of difficulty in terms of rocks, elevation. No water right now, but maybe some low level water crossings. We're about total 2 1/4 in. About 3 miles in now. We went down and it wasn't too bad, but then you got to go back up. Went across a little river crossing. No water in it right now. But again, had to go down. Now headed back up. About 3 miles in. About 3 1/4 miles in. Just an example of the terrain. If you've hiked before, average, kind of regular along this stretch here, which is good. About a little over 3 1/2 miles in. This little snippet, kind of precarious. So looks like I got a little bit more to go. right, so we are about 4 miles in. It's a little confusing for our end that you had to cross the water. But we had that sign right there on the other side. And then you cross the water over here. And then right there is the other sign. We're at a side angle, so you can't really see it, but it says stop on there, and then just says you are on the Skyline Trail, and you need to bring lots of water, and it can get hot. A little over 4.5 miles in, and it appears that we are on the Skyline portion of the adventure. Got some people down on the river down there. But this is probably the highest up we've been. 4.5 miles in. All right, about 4 3/4 in, almost 5 miles. According to the gentleman that we passed on the trail, we are on the downhill portion. But it looks like we're about to do a little bit uphill. So the downhill we just came through was a little bit steep. So again, probably need to be not your first time out hiking a trail on this course. Since about 5.5 miles in, we've been either flat or finally coming down. Even after we crossed over the river back there, it felt like we were still going up. But now it seems like maybe we're going down a little, which would be nice. All right, we are a little over 7 miles in. After about mile 5.5, seemed to get a little bit easier. Had a little bit of an uphill there right at 7 miles. And hopefully we're nearing the close, but it does seem like after the 5.5 mile going this way is not as difficult as the beginning. But time will tell what lies ahead. And like I said, hopefully we're almost done. All right, we are now 8.5 miles in and starting to wonder if the trail ends. But what we've walked has not been too awfully bad. A little bit of an ascent here, 8.5 miles in. All right, we're now a long way in, but nearing the river again. Oh, a little bit more treacherous on the descent again, so it's some loose rocks, and we have been at this for 9 miles. Also would recommend taking some sort of a snack, which we did not do, and have expended quite a bit of energy. So that would be a recommend if you're going to do the full trail, which now we're somewhere around 9-ish miles and landing back at the river. So we made it down to a little river section. A couple of folks on the other side. Look like they're about to drop in for a swim. Very pretty section. All right, we are now over 9 miles, possibly nearing the end of the trail. Kind of a neat little water feature at the end here. A little bit of minor rapid / waterfall section. Now I think that bridge right over there, we walked past that bridge to get to the entrance that we came in. So presumably, if you wanted to go the other way, coming into this trail, your entrance would be somewhere over here. So if it was me, it does seem kind of easier on this front end with the water feature. You are a little bit closer to the water for some time. Actually, more so than the other way. And I also feel like after a mile and a half, 5.5 miles the way we went, the terrain started to get easier. Did still have some pockets of more advanced hiking, but seemed to be easier than the first part in my eyes. So if you want easier first, I would enter where we're about to come out. If you want more difficult first, I would enter where we went in. I will cut back to you here in a second when we get to the area where we get out. All right, we're just a short few steps from where we left you. 9.2 miles from where the car was. This looks like where you come out. And I'll give you a view from the street in a second. All right, and here we are coming out to street level. And again, I think we walked past this section when we went from our car to where we started to hike, because we saw the people fishing over there. So here you go. Total 9.2 miles from our car to here. If I was to stop it here, I would guess maybe 9.5 to get back to the car. All in all, a pretty good hike from Broken Bow.